Well, the conversation continues. We've begun with our editors in-house, and now I take it outside. Mheshimiwa Nawaziri, asante sana. Thank you for joining us.
Yes.
On the inaugural show of Newsline. I know we haven't spoken in quite a while.
Yeah.
But you're in the action now.
Where
do you want to start? Harambee Stars, Kasarani?
I mean, too many balls in the air.
Pick one.
Yeah.
Tell me about Harambee Stars. Should we be happy or sad?
I think we should be happy.
Yeah?
We should be
I know
happy.
you went there.
I think there's a renaissance in the air. There's a renaissance in the air, and I had a fantastic time with the boys in Kampala, and I saw a new spirit. Everybody wants to see us going up. They say when you hit rock bottom, there's only one place to go, and that's up.
Right.
I think we have an opportunity to start moving upwards, and the performance of the boys in Kampala definitely could act as a template for us to start moving up.
All right, let's pick this up a bit. Tell me now about Kasarani. My editors are breathing behind my neck here. They've got questions for you. Where would you like to start this?
Kasarani has
Is this
taken on
going through the motions?
I don't think so.
Should we be excited about it?
I don't think so.
Is it democracy rolling out in truth?
Kasarani has become an important arena because this is where a lot of the big political events take place. One, because it's just appropriate. You have sufficient space there, and you're out of town. So it has become some sort of our Tahrir Square,
right,
or our Trafalgar Square, where you go to make your big political decisions. And I don't think these political parties are just going through the motions. I think there's something in the air. And what is in the air is that political parties are definitely taking serious the new dispensation that places a lot of premium on political parties. We have certainly crossed the Rubicon, as it were, in the sense that the Constitution has now transformed political parties into constitutional entities. And now the Political Parties Act has addressed political parties with even more responsibilities, more character. And so seeing political parties gather to make critical decisions, like endorsing coalitions, and determining who is going to be their presidential. I don't think it's just going through the motions.
And then telling us who the reformers are based on, I don't know what criteria, what decision.
I mean, everybody has a history. Everybody has a background. If and I don't think there is any better way to judge a human being other than by looking at the sum total of their actions, of their utterances, of their contributions to whatever processes. It's not difficult really to say in this country with a certain degree of certainty who has stood on the right side of history of reforms. It's certainly not a difficult thing to say.
Joe's itching. Go, Joe.
And Louis,
Joe.
without politicizing this matter, we certainly know.
Because
we have had 2 referenda, Louis.
Yes.
We know who has stood on what side anytime we have had to make the big decisions about transforming this country. And so let us not trivialize this matter on who has always been faithful, who has kept fidelity when it comes to reforms.
You've got the
Do
history.
you really believe that the people on right now in the Court coalition are true reformers in the best sense of that word? Honest.
I can tell you for certainty that CORD is championed by the one Kenyan today who certainly towers above everybody else when it comes to reforms. Certainly you look at the political scene today, and Raila Odinga has got no equal. He has absolutely no. Name me one man or
But
woman.
who are the people he has decided to team up with?
There are many people on that side. You can choose to look at the few people who have crossed the bridge and saw the light. I mean, even Paul was one day Saul, and he became Paul, and he became more of a man of faith than even those who carry the cross before him. But when you look at Raila Odinga, when you look at James Orengo, when you look at Anyang' Nyong'o, when you look at Gitobe Manyara, I mean, what is the common denominator
There are
among all
those
those
who would
people?
rather just look at Ababu Namwamba.
Guess
why?
Ababu Namwamba is a fantastic reformer.
Yes.
Any day,
Ababu Namwamba,
anywhere.
Ababu Namwamba doesn't have shoulders carrying a lot of baggage. Martin?
Would you not talk of the same the same scenario on the other side. Maybe they could also have
William
walked through
Ruto,
the road to
Uhuru
Damascus.
Kenyatta, Musalia Mudavadi, common denominator.
What's
the
that?
science of the Nyayo state. Any time, any day, conservative to the core. They are products of a system that was repressive, a system that was conservative, a system that resisted reforms to the hilt. And they have not crossed the bridge. That soul has never become Paul.
But even Raila Odinga worked with former President Moi. He was
Working
KANU
with,
at
I
that
like your
time.
choice of words.
He was there. He was in the same government.
I
with him for 5 years.
like your choice of words. He worked with. He worked with, but he never became part of that caste.
He was the Secretary General of KANU, you know.
He was part of a process that was intended to transform, and he certainly did transform. He transformed from outside and even from within. And I think the implosion of KANU and the transformation that resulted from that, the NAC, the Rainbow Revolution, actually
So
emerged from that.
are we as a country coming to a point where we accept that even if you call yourself a reformer, at some point you have to team up with people who may have dubious reform credentials for you to achieve your objectives? Because as it is, even in 2002, we saw that same Raila team up with some people in KANU who had been identified, became the symbol really of the oppression that you talk about.
Joe, you know this better than I do, that every cause needs a champion. And in every cause, you have champions that have died or that have stood firm for that cause. And you have those who will always ride along. And what normally matters is that any cause going forward has a champion that leads that cause. This cause of reform, and as we talk about the Coalition for Reform and Democracy, you can look at that cast, and you may want to choose to focus your eye on the soul that became Paul, or you may want to look at the Peters and the Matthews, the disciples that have been there. They have stood firm, they have fought the good fight, and they have kept the faith.
I know
I
know I can call you Ababu, not because you're not a full minister, but you're like that with me.
Yes.
Now,
yes,
you
yes,
give
yes.
me your reaction to what my editor said. They said,
Yeah.
nobody is having a coalition by design, that all these things we're seeing are being done by default. Is anyone being unfairly shouldered into a particular position?
Louis, that's partly true, but it could also presuppose that all of us who play on the political scene are merely creatures of circumstance, that we do not plan, that we do not plot.
Okay, so tell us, where do we draw the line for the players now? Who's, by your standards, who's there by design, who's there by default?
Now, that would be highly judgmental, and it will highly be...
Ababu, you're scared to commit on that one?
It will be presumptive.
You know these guys.
It will be presumptive.
You know these
what I
guys.
can tell you that a lot of the things going on the political scene today are by design. They're by deliberate planning, they're by deliberate scheming. And if there is any politician out there, a political leader worth the name, if there is any political party out there that has not been scheming, that has not been plotting, then really we should be worried as a country.
But what you guys are doing, you're scheming and plotting in boardrooms. When it doesn't come together, you run off to your villages and start crying foul. You never incorporated them in the first place.
I don't know
you
which
never
guy.
told them
I don't
what
know.
happened there. And now you're telling us that everybody's scheming.
So
Okay,
who are these guys that have been running to their villages?
One question from Martin and Joe before I let you go. Martin?
Definitely, when things don't go right, as Lou says, you'd run to ethnic enclaves and try to woo up sympathy and support. But when you agree within the boardrooms, it's so easy to come out and say this is a deal and everybody has to follow you in that direction. So where do you draw the line in terms of the democratic principles that
Martin,
you're talking about?
I'll speak only for my party.
Exactly.
I don't want to speak for characters who actually bring shame to the scene of leadership.
You seem to know them, even though you won't mention
I don't
them.
want to speak for
you know
characters
them.
who masquerade as leaders, and they actually are a serious, they pose a mortal danger to democracy in this country. So I'll speak for my political party. ODM is an institution, and I think over the last 7 or so years that we have existed as a political party, we have demonstrated a very deliberate effort to respect institutions, to make decisions through those institutions, and to build a solid political movement. And a lot of the things that you see ODM doing are deliberate. If you say ODM retreats to some tribal enclave, which one? Because I don't think you can bottle up ODM into any political or ethnic pigeonhole. It's a movement that really cuts across the entire length and breadth of the country. I know that we have sustained a certain character, a certain fidelity to principle in terms of management of a political movement. And so even the negotiations going on, we have negotiated across the board. Those that have fallen through have fallen through. Those that have succeeded, and we have moved on.
Joe, hold. As Joe prepares to ask your question, I'm going to call up two of my last cartoon strips. As I line them up, go ahead, Joe. Just ask your question. But I'll want Mheshimiwa to respond to those as we go along.
Yeah, Mheshimiwa, I mean,
can you see that one? Can you see? I'll give you one closer to you. When you see that, when Kenyans wake up to such pictures, what are they seeing?
Okay.
What is your reaction to that kind of? This is what Kenyans are looking at. This is what Kenyans are thinking of you people out there.
This is not we people. These are two characters.
Come back. I want to see Waziri answer this. Huh?
I mean, when you say you people,
you're all leaders.
The political.
You're politicals. You're all leaders.
These are two characters, and Kenyans have got every right to question, to pass judgment, and to determine what they want. And by the way, at the end of the day, if Kenyans determine that they want a particular leader, it's up to them. They say every society gets the leaders they deserve. But these are not we people. This is not Ababu Namwamba.
What happened to this lady?
Me.
Would you work with this lady?
Mother.
Oh, you recognize. That didn't take you a second?
No, I mean...
that didn't take you a second? Would you work with her? Alliances are being built. Coalitions are being made. She's one of the people who've had a history of reform in this country. Yeah?
Why not? Why not? I mean...
what happened there? Why is she not attractive to you guys? Or why are you guys not attractive to her?
You see, partnerships and political alliances must be between willing partners. And Lou, you know this even when you seek to date anybody. there must be some natural chemistry.
I am not setting you up.
And there must be consensus.
I just needed to know.
There must be a meeting of the minds.
How much further will this go? Joe, I know you had a question before we let Waziri go.
Yes, I mean, I just heard Mheshimiwa talk about principle vis-a-vis the other considerations that are less noble. For instance, like tribalism, which everybody knows in this country dictates even the kind of coalitions that are being built now. I mean, I wonder why no one is looking for Professor Kiapi, for example, who, if you look at where he comes from, maybe it's considered one of the minority communities, or someone from the coast. Why is it that the alliances are between the people who come from what are generally considered as the majority communities, you know, the larger Luhya, Luo, Kikuyu, and is that a coincidence, do you think?
Is that the only place where there's chemistry, ethnic chemistry?
The ethnicity is a factor in this, is a political factor in this country, and I think you'd be pretentious to imagine otherwise, unless you live on Neptune and you just landed here yesterday.
Is it overriding or just a factor?
It's a major factor. It's a major factor. It's actually a major factor.
I can see that with the caution with which you're trying to answer the question.
No, Louis. Louis, I'm being very deliberate.
Yeah, but this is not you, man. The way you know it, you're on the go with this thing.
It's a major factor, Louis.
That's better.
It's a major factor, and that is not. It cannot be gainsaid. But at the same time, I think in any society, political parties are not engaged in the game of charity. They are not engaged in the game of business. They are engaged in the game of pursuing, seeking, and exercising power. And when you are picking partners to go to political battle with, you want partners who can best aid the mission to gain power. I mean, when Mitt Romney picked Paul Ryan to be his running mate, did you look at the considerations? He did not just pick anybody from the street.
Ababu, don't go there.
No.
Because when we saw those people being picked, it was clear.
Yes.
There was a pattern to it.
Yes.
We didn't have people being pushed by default.
But
we saw design all the way. If I was you, I wouldn't use that as an illustration.
Louis, I have to go there because the ultimate consideration is who will best aid my mission to capture power.
Last question, Marcus.
Ultimately.
So
Ultimately.
are you confirming that these coming elections are going basically to be decided on the ethnic equation?
I already said this, Martin, that the tribe is a major factor, but I believe it's not the only factor.
But
because if tribe was the only factor, then you could pick anybody from any tribe.
No, I didn't say the only, I said the major factor.
For instance, Martha Karua. I mean, it's interesting.
Okay, this is how I'm going to end this.
No, but let me make this point. The point I was going to make.
Don't draw yours, use mine.
I mean, the point I was going to make is that it does not mean that if you were to pick Martha Karua today,
yes,
she guarantees you the voting block of her ethnicity or her ethnic community. Or if you were to pick, you mentioned Ole Kiapi, but the Ole Kiapi does not come from a minority community. The Maasai are a major voting block.
Yeah, we're
in
not
this
seeing the
country.
chemistry. You're feeling the, you guys are not feeling the
it
chemistry.
does not mean someone has a reason why they would, for instance, go with Ntimama and not Ole Kiapi. So it's not just, it's not that straightforward. It's not just about the ethnic.
I know now you're about to start doing those things you're very good at, but I will end this a different way. So they write, they tell these stories, here they are. Do you have a challenge to them as they run out these stories? Because sometimes you claim they're not capturing the spirit of your new politics. Here are your editors. Give them a challenge as they go ahead.
No, they just need to be realistic. they need to be realistic and not too romantic.
Really?
Sometimes they're too romantic. They're too romantic. They romanticize politics too much. There are just certain basic realities. And also appreciate that there is some intelligent design in what goes on. Because sometimes the way you report as if everything happens by chance. Everything happens by circumstance. No, there is some design in a lot of things that go on.
Should I let that go?
No, they have no challenge to that.
Clearly.
So
Okay, they couldn't.